Hello everyone, today we are diving into a super important topic, surds and exponents, and we will go through 9 problems. Yeah, and let's get started. Problem number 1, simplify a surd expression. So we can firstly take the square root of 50, and we know that under a square root or any root, we can multiply some numbers that will give us 50. So we can rewrite it like this: 25 times 2, because 25 times 2 is 50. And we remember that we can also write it like this: 25 square root of 25 times square root of 2. And square root of 25 is just 5. And we can leave square root of 2 in this form. So it is our square root of 50, and our 2 square root of 8, we can also do something under this square root and rewrite it like in the square root of 50. So 2 in the front, and under our square root we can write that this is 4 times 2. So it is basically 2 times square root of 4 times square root of 2. So it is 2 times square root of 4 is just 2 times square root of 2. So it is 4 and square root of 2. And now we can add our numbers. So the first one and the second one. And if we have the same number in here under the root, we can just add them. So we're adding the number that is in front of our root. So 5 plus 4, it is 9, and here is square root of 2, because the number that is under the square root allows us to add the number that is in front of this square root. Now problem number 2, and we have to write 0.000456 in scientific notation. And we remember that if we have a very huge number, we in scientific notation we write it number between 1 and 10 times 10 to the power of some positive number. If we have very small number, like in our problem, we write number, between 1 and 10 times 10 to the power of some number, but with minus sign, because it's very small number. So firstly, because it will be in this form, a times 10 to the power of k, and a has to be between 1 and 10. So from our number, it cannot be 0.456 or 45.6 or 456. It has to be 4.56, because it is between 1 and 10. And now, if we put a dot in here, we have to calculate how many places we will move. So from here, because we are starting from here, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have to move 4 times. in the right direction. So 10 to the power of minus 4. If it was very big number, we should move to the left. So this is our final answer. Problem 3. Simplify 3 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 2. So you should remember that if we have the same number in here, we can just add our powers, leaving the same number in here. So it is basically 3 to the power of 4 plus 2, because we are adding these numbers. So it is 3 to the power of 6, and the final answer is 729. Problem number 4. Rationalize and simplify 6 over a square root of 3. So rationalize means that a square root or any root cannot be in the denominator. So we have to multiply our fraction by also by a fraction, and in the numerator and in denominator we have to put this square root of this number, because in other words, square root of 3 over square root of 3, it is just 1. So we're not changing our number, we're just multiplying it by 1. So it is 6 square root of 3, and in the denominator we have just 3, and we can also simplify it. So the final answer is 2 square root of 3. Problem number 5. We have to simplify a fraction, and in a power we have minus half. So firstly, minus means that we have to rotate our fraction. So it will be 9 over 4, because we rotate our fraction. So our minus disappears because we rotated our fraction. And 1 over 2 means that we have to take a square root of our fraction. So it is basically something like this, and we can also rewrite it like this. And we know that square root of 9 is just 3, and square root of 4 is just 2. So this is our final answer. Problem 6. Express the product in scientific notation of these numbers. And we can see that every number is multiplied by every number, because here we have multiplication here and here. So basically we can rewrite it like this: 3.2 times 10 to the power of 5 times 2 times 10 to the power of 3. We can also change their places, because it is multiplication, so it doesn't matter where the number stays. So we can rewrite it like this: 3.2 times 2 times 10 to the power of 5 times 10 to the power of 3. And we can multiply these two first numbers. So 3.2 times 2, it is 6.4 times, and we remember that if we have the same number in here, we can add the powers. So we have 10 to the power of 5 plus 3. So it is just 10 to the power of 8. Problem number 7. We have to simplify these square roots. So firstly, we can take square root of 72, and under the root we can multiply two numbers, and we can see that 72 divided by 2 is 36. And we know that the square root of 36 is just 6. So we can firstly write it like this, then like this, and finally like this, because square root of 36 is 6, and 6 multiplied by square root of 2 is this 6 and square root of 2. Then we have square root of 32, and we know that 32 divided by 2 is 16. So 16 times 2. So square root of 16 is 4. And square root of 2, we leave it like this. And then we have a square root of 18. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 times 2, it is 18. And we know that the square root of 9 is just 3. So 3 and square root of 2. And now we can simplify our expression. So it is 6 square root of 2. Then we have minus 4 square root of 2 and plus 3 and square root of 2. So when we simplify it, we're just focusing on these numbers, because square root of 2 just allows us to make some adding, subtracting on these numbers, and we're just subtracting 4 from 6 and then adding 3. So our final answer is 5 and square root of 2. Now we have problem number 8, and we have to simplify the fraction. And firstly, we can see that every number 2, 4, 8 are somehow connected, because we can write 4 as 2 to the power of 2 and 8 as 2 to the power of 3. And we can use this to simplify our fraction. So firstly, 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 2, because it's 4, and then to the power of minus 2, because this is this power, and also to the power of 2, this 2. And in the denominator we have 2 to the power of 3 and to the power of minus 1. And now we can simplify it again. In the numerator we have 2 to the power of 3 times, and if we have 2 to the power of 2 and then to the power of minus 2, we can multiply these powers as previously. So we have 2 to the power of minus 4 and then to the power of 2, the whole bracket. And in the denominator we have 2 to the power of minus 3, because we multiply 3 by minus 1. And now we can simplify it again. This power corresponds to this and this. So our 2 to the power of 3 is also to the power of 2, and our 2 to the power of minus 4 is also to the power of 2. So we can use this, and we have 2 to the power of 3 and to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of minus 4 and to the power of 2, and in the denominator it stays the same. So we can simplify it once again. We have 2 to the power of 3 and then to the power of 2, so we can multiply these powers, so it is something like this. Then we have 2 to the power of minus 4 and then to the power of 2, so we can also multiply the powers, so we have something like this, and in the denominator we have still 2 to the power of minus 3. And almost the end, we have 2 to the power of 6 times 2 to the power of minus 8, so we can add our powers because we have multiplication between those numbers, so it is simply 2 to the power of minus 2, because 6 minus basically 6 plus minus 8 is minus 2, so our power is minus 2, and in the denominator we have still 2 to the power of minus 3. And now if we have a fraction, we subtract our numbers, so we can rewrite it like this: 2 to the power of minus 2 minus, because we are subtracting, minus 3. If we have a fraction, we are subtracting the powers. From numerator, we are subtracting power from the denominator, and it is simply minus 2 plus 3, so it is 2 to the power of 1, so it is 2. So from our fraction, which seem to be very complicated, we have just 2. And the last exercise, problem number 9. A grain of sand has a mass of about 3.5 times 10 to the power of minus 4 grams. A beach has approximately 2 times 10 to the power of 12 grains. What is the total mass of the sand in scientific notation? So we have mass. A grain of sand has a mass, so this is our mass, and we have this amount of grains. So if one grain has this mass and we have this amount of grains, we simply have to multiply these numbers. So 3.5 times 10 to the power of minus 4 times 2 times 10 to the power of 12. And we know that we can change the places of our numbers because we have multiplication everywhere in this equation. So we can firstly multiply 3.5 by 2. So we will have 7, and then we can multiply 10 to the power of minus 4 and 10 to the power of 12. And we know if we are multiplying the same numbers with different powers, we are just adding these powers. So minus 4 plus 12 or 12 plus minus 4 equals 10 to the power of 8, and unit is grams. And that's all for this topic. I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. If so, please leave thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, you can write them down in comments below or via my mail. And good luck on your final exams or just your math lessons. See ya!